Friday. On this day, every church around the world gather to remember Jesus' death on the cross. We thought, as I talk about it today in this video, we might do things a bit differently. To help us reflect on Good Friday, we've decided to quietly paint. We're going to paint about anything that comes to mind when we think of Jesus on the cross. You're welcome to join us. Why not get a piece of paper with some colouring pencils or some felt tips, or if you do have any paints at home, just make sure that you wear clothes that you don't mind getting dirty, and you have the permission of your parents as well. And why not start colouring or drawing as I'm speaking on the video. There will also be opportunities in the video for you to pause and have a think or pray about a few things. Did you know that Good Friday is the only day in the whole year when no Mass is celebrated? What we do at this service is we hear a very long bit of scripture from John's Gospel called the Passion, where we remember Jesus' journey to the cross. Last year at this service, I remember walking up to the wooden cross that was being very carefully held up by the altar servers. And I remember going up to it, kneeling and kissing the wood of the cross. I remember thinking of the pain and death that Jesus had suffered, but also how through this cross Jesus saved me, and how thankful I felt. We can often feel confused as to why Jesus had to die on the cross. Why did God the Father let his Son die on the cross? I thought it was a bit confusing, until I realised who Jesus was. I remembered all of the amazing things that Jesus did in his life, healing people, forgiving people of their sins, the miracles that he performed. I also remembered some of the things that he said about himself. How he said that he was the resurrection and the life. How he was the bread of life. The things that Jesus said are the kinds of things that God says. I remembered that Jesus is God. So when I looked at the cross, when I look at it now, I remember that Jesus is God. It is God on the cross. That's how much he loves us. God created everything. Everything that we can see, everything we can't see. The whole universe. And yet that same God died for me on the cross. Now the cross teaches us a lot of things. If you think about Jesus' journey from the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was with his disciples, Judas betrayed him and he was arrested. He was then scourged and beaten. His friends quickly abandoned him. He was made to carry a cross. People were making fun of him all the way. It was as if all human sin, all the darkness of the world, all the bad things, behaviours that are done on purpose, met Jesus, until eventually, on the cross, he was overwhelmed by it and died. When I look at the cross, I remember that I don't always do the right thing. I can think about my sin when I look at the cross. Why not pause the video and have a chat with the person next to you about some things maybe that you feel you've done wrong? You can say a short prayer of sorry to God for the times that we have sinned. Off you go. The cross shows me that God is with me in times that I feel sad or in pain or I'm suffering in any way. Because Jesus also experienced all those things. And we even saw it at the raising of Lazarus, how he wept with his friends. But not just that. He's experienced pain and suffering. Not just physically, but emotionally. People were mean to him. And it gives me so much confidence to know that my God has experienced those things too. And I can turn to him in those times when I'm maybe suffering as well. It also gives me comfort that God is with people I don't know who are also suffering. Why not pause the video and have a chat about anyone you know who is suffering, and perhaps say a prayer for them. The cross also shows me that God forgives. When I look at the cross, I remember the words of Jesus. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Even when he was in so much pain on the cross, he forgave us. He forgave the people that had put him there. When someone hurts us, it's natural to want to take revenge. If you think about your sisters, your brothers, and how even by accident, if you accidentally hit each other, sometimes our first instinct is to try and hit the other person back, isn't it? It's very natural to want to take revenge. But Jesus didn't. On the cross, he didn't do that. On the cross, he showed us what it is to be a person of forgiveness. Why not pause the video now and have a think of someone you need to forgive and say a prayer to God. When I look at the cross, I know it's not the end of Jesus. I know that the most surprising thing happened 3 days after he died. He came back to life. He rose from the dead. He defeated death. It wasn't the end of him. And death is not going to be the end of us either. It shows us that although there's still sin and bad stuff in the world, even though it still exists, it doesn't have the last word anymore. Jesus has defeated death. The cross shows us so many things. What have you learnt about the cross? Why don't you pause the video and have a chat about it? We'll come back. How's your painting going?
Good.
Cool. I think I've finished mine. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.